This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, January 10th show. My goal is to keep you up to date on the latest news and trends in our local economy. Keep me tuned in and I will keep you informed. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast. You can talk with any of the guests that I have in studio by picking up the phone, calling in at 1-855 400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, Debbie Walter with Remax Northwest Realtors is one of my trusted sources on the local real estate market, helping buyers and sellers. Debbie, it's so much fun to have you back in studio. Thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me.
And a little bit about Debbie. Debbie has been in real estate and a broker for over 12 years. Remax Platinum Club Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement, Women's Council of Realtors Entrepreneur of the Year for 2013, and she's now Women's Council of Realtors President for 2015. Debbie is number 8 individual in Pacific Northwest region for 2013, Seattle 5-star best real estate agent 7 years running, and top 5% of staging professionals. Debbie works predominantly with engineers and physicians, both in the Seattle and Eastside area. Thanks again, Debbie, for being here. And I'm excited to get your opinion of what's happening or what's going to be coming up in 2015, because our real estate market, it was just a really great year in 2014, and I'm excited to see it continuing in 2015. So what do you think about the Seattle market and what it's going to look like this year?
Well, I think we have lots of things to be excited about. That's what's so fun. And really, there's kind of two words that I would use for this upcoming market. I would say it's going to be strong, and it's also going to be competitive. And that's for both buyers and sellers.
Yeah. So competitive, we were competitive in 2014. It was strong and competitive then as well. Is it going to be as competitive as we saw in 2014 or worse?
Well, that's such an interesting question, and I so wish that we could go to Target and buy a magic crystal ball.
I know. I'm looking to you like you have that magic crystal ball.
But I really do follow not only the local, but the national experts and really try to be an analyst and gather that data to form opinions, not just based on emotions, but really based on facts.
Yes.
So in terms of inventory, I do think that we're going to see more inventory.
Okay.
I think with the house formations, with the fact that we have seen some really rapid appreciation in the last year and a half, more and more people are now out from being underwater.
Yes.
And so they are in a position to sell. And they're now, because of lending guidelines loosening a smidge,
A little bit.
A lot of people can now maybe go buy before they even sell.
Yes.
So that they can avoid that whole pain and suffering of the double move.
Yep. Makes total sense. Now, in my arena, I get asked this question all the time. Same answer as what you gave. I mean, we don't have a crystal ball. And I follow other experts as well and what they're talking about as far as interest rates. But I'd like to get your prediction, because that's another part of real estate for 2015 is based on what the rates are going to do. What's your opinion?
Well, I feel a little bit repetitive because last year in 2014, so many of us, including myself, said rates are going to rise. They have to rise. And sure enough, we were wrong.
And the year before that, all experts, including ourselves, were saying the same thing.
Exactly. But if you really look at all the economics that go into interest rates, I really still feel that in 2015, we are going to see them rise. Most economists are betting that it's going to be the year of it because we have improving domestic economy. We also have a lack of stimulus from the feds.
Yep.
And Jonathan Smoke, who's the chief economist at Realtor.com, he sees that the 30-year rate ending right around 5% by the end of the year, if not before.
Yeah. And, right now, and it's so funny because we've hit again, another all-time low in where the interest rates have been. Outside, you take those few days out where you hit 3.25, 3 3/8, 3.5. I mean, literally, you had to just hit the lock button right at that second to get that. Outside of that, we have been seeing around on an average that 3.75, 3 7/8 on a 30-year fix. And I'm not quoting interest rates based on a lot of different factors, cost structures, credit, all that good stuff. But and if you look at the national average, it says 3.9 is where it's at today, 3.91. It's just ridiculous. But even if they get in the 5%, that's a huge increase in interest rate and affects your buying potential a lot. But it's still unbelievably low interest rate. So it's just, but if you can get in now under that 4% rate, take advantage of it before the interest rates go up, because yes, eventually they do have to do something, and they can't go anywhere but up. Right.
Well, and nobody wants deflation. So you have to have a little bit of inflation to keep our economy healthy.
Exactly.
And that's why I think all the experts are predicting, that increase.
Yes.
And if you look at the 100-year history of interest rates, I think the average is over 7%.
Yes.
So none of us should be complaining about the likelihood that we will be seeing 5% again.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So what dynamics make you think that the local market is going to be strong for this coming year, Debbie?
Well, really the fundamentals. Real estate has always been about pretty simple economics 101, which is supply demand. And if you look at our population and our wage growth here in the state, we are at a 10-year low for inventory. At the same time that our population has exploded about 30% in our state in the last decade. If you look at the forefathers, they predicted that we would have about 8 million people here in Washington state by the year 2030. We are over 7 million people right now in 2015.
Oh my gosh.
So none of us should be shocked or surprised to hit that 8 million probably within the next couple of years with our job growths.
Yeah, exactly. And what about the impact of the millennials have on the housing market?
Millennials are really such an interesting group, and they're a very growing group in terms of home buyers right now. So many of those 20 to 30-year-olds, they've been having to kind of postpone life's bigger decisions because they have survived the economic downturn, and many of them had to live at home, or they had to have roommates, and they had to kind of postpone home ownership. Now that they're employed, they're making money, they've done a good job of saving, they are itching, and they are eager to get out there and start their lives.
And I know the rental market and what's happening in rentals has a lot to do with home values as well. So where are you seeing with rentals and the effect of our housing market for 2015?
Absolutely. Well, vacancy rates in the Puget Sound, they peaked at 7% in 2009, and that's when average rents fell, but they only fell about 4% over that year. And that was when unemployment reached a record high of 10%. So landlords are still trying to make up for kind of those few years of losses and the increase in operating expenses and taxes. So we kind of have a runaway of rents right now. Rents are at an all-time high.
And they're doing multiple offers on some of these lease agreements and a rental, which I've never heard of that. That was just bizarre.
Extremely competitive.
Yeah.
I've heard of many, many stories where people will put their rental on Craigslist, and within 2 hours, they'll have 10 applications. People will be offering more than what they're asking for. They're getting love letters from potential candidates.
Sounds like they're trying to buy a real estate.
That's exactly right.
Oh my gosh. And what about an apartment building? Because I know that they're talking about more building of apartment building in our market, correct?
Yes, they are. Although there's only an estimated 13,000 units that will be coming up, and that is well below what is really necessary to house the incoming people. Our rents jumped 8% this last year. That's 4 times the rate of inflation. And our vacancy rates now are less than 4%. So even though they are building more, our average rates here in Seattle for a 1-bedroom apartment are almost $1,800 a month.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you can almost own a condo at least, or maybe even a townhome for that when you factor in the tax benefits of homeownership.
Exactly. And then if you make under $90,000, $97,000, if you've got a baby as well, you can take advantage of that first-time homebuyer tax credit for any of you out there that are first-time homebuyers, which adds another, $30,000, $40,000 in buying potential. So what about the building and design trends that we're going to likely see in 2015? Can you talk about that a little?
Absolutely. Well, green home building is no longer a fad. It's becoming more and more home stream every single day. And people say, well, what's green? Well, green building is really using our natural components to be economically and environmentally conscientious.
Okay.
And so we have 73% of our single family home builders and 68% of the multifamily builders are reporting that consumers are actually willing to pay more in rent and for homes for these go green style properties.
Got it. And Debbie, as an accredited staging professional realtor, what are the current color trends for 2015?
Well,
anything changing there?
Yes, my Wazoo buddies can rejoice and jump up and down because Marcella is actually the hot new color trend for this coming year. And Marcella, think of it as kind of a burgundy wine, and the complementary color to go with that this year is gray.
Oh my gosh! Well, I didn't realize that. That is, I'm trying to actually visually adjust that because we're so used to the boring colors being the trend.
No.
So, what are a few top staging tips that you can implement for buyers in 2015?
In terms of staging, staging is really all about simplification, creating a lot of open space. We do things in threes. So think of it as if you have a couch and 2 love seats.
Okay.
Or if you have a table, maybe you want to put a vase of flowers with 2 candles on the side. So using the triangle is really very useful in staging.
Got it. Now, Debbie, to wrap things up for my conversation with you today, when interviewing brokers to help buy or sell, what are qualities or skills that they should have in prioritizing in considering? So what is the priority of those skills that they should have to earn your business?
Well, ultimately, I think consumers feel best when they're working with somebody that they can really trust. But that trust comes from market knowledge, sound strategies, the experts' negotiation skill sets.
Okay.
Being detail-oriented, somebody that is really grounded and passionate about what they do, and hopefully somebody that's very involved in their professional community, such as either some volunteer work, some professional organization leadership, or even somebody that just gives back to their community.
Yeah, it makes total sense, Debbie. And if any of you are listening to the show right now and are thinking about buying or selling, pick up the phone, give the show a call, 1-855-400-1150. Debbie is one of the best in our local market. That's why I have her in studio. She's an amazing person and is so knowledgeable of what she does. Great team behind her and just a wealth of information. So Debbie, again, thank you so much for visiting me in studio, and thank you for everything you do for all of my clients.
Oh, thank you, Tina. You're very sweet.
Coming up next on the Money Hour, in as little as 5 minutes a day, you can take control of your money, design your financial future, and put an end to your money's worries once and for all. Michael Ann Valterra with SeattleMoneyCoach.com right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.